The price of pride. Captain Marcus Drake stood at rigid attention before the Galactic Council, his weathered uniform a stark contrast to the ornate chambers of New Geneva Station. The scarred veteran's face remained impassive as sneers and whispers echoed through the chamber. Representatives from a dozen advanced civilizations looked down from their elevated seats, their disdain for humanity's primitive technology evident in their expressions. Supreme Commander Nixus of the Krylonian Empire rose from his crystalline throne, his iridescent scales shimming under the chamber's lights. You expect us to trust the defense of the Arcturus sector to this? He gestured dismissively at the hologram of Drake's ship, the ISS Intrepid, floating in the chamber's center. The aging warship's hull bore the scars of countless battles, its armor patches and visible repairs drawing scoffs from the assembled dignitaries. The Intrepid has served with distinction for 20 years, Drake replied evenly, though his jaw tightened. Her crew is among the finest in the intersolar fleet. Quaint, Nixus practically purred, his forked tongue flicking between needle-sharp teeth. But surely you understand our concerns. The Krylonian Empire fields warships that could reduce your vessel to atoms with a single volley. How can such an obsolete craft possibly maintain order in a sector as vital as Arcturus? Before Drake could respond, Ambassador Thela of the Meridian Concordat raised her crystalline hand. Perhaps the human speaks truth. Their kind has shown remarkable adaptability. Her faceted eyes studied Drake with scientific curiosity. Though their technology lags centuries behind our own, they have survived encounters that should have annihilated them. Survived through luck and desperation, Nixus countered. The Arcturus sector requires strength, not the stubborn resilience of a primitive species. Drake's first officer, Commander Rhea Singh, stepped forward, her dark eyes flashing. With respect, Supreme Commander, the Intrepid's record speaks for itself. 12 successful peacekeeping operations. 3 pirate strongholds eliminated. The rescue of the Proxima colony during the solar storms. We may lack your advanced technology, but we've never failed a mission. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, some defending humanity's unconventional successes, others dismissing them as statistical anomalies. High Counselor Zin, the ancient Archene whose species had first uplifted humanity to the stars, raised his hand for silence. The decision has already been made, Zin's resonant voice filled the chamber. The ISS Intrepid will assume patrol duties in the Arcturus sector. This council has agreed to give humanity an opportunity to prove itself as equals among the galactic community. Nixus's scales darkened with barely contained rage. Then on your heads be the consequences. He turned to Drake, looming over the human captain. Pray we do not meet again in combat, primitive. Your outdated vessel would not survive the encounter. As Drake and Singh departed the chamber, the captain allowed himself a small smile. Let them underestimate the Intrepid. Let them dismiss humanity as primitive upstarts. They knew nothing of the modifications hidden beneath the ship's battle-scarred hull, the experimental systems that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Most importantly, they knew nothing of the human spirit that had driven their species to survive and thrive against impossible odds. Back aboard the Intrepid, Drake gazed out at the gleaming Krylonian warships that dwarfed his vessel. Chief Engineer Takashi Yamamoto's voice crackled over the comm, all systems nominal, Captain. Those stuck-up lizards have no idea what we're really capable of. Let's keep it that way, Chief, Drake replied, settling into his command chair. Helm, set course for Arcturus. Standard drive engagement. Lieutenant James O'Connor's hands danced across the helm controls. Course laid in, sir. Those Krylonian ships are practically preening themselves, watching us lumber away on conventional drives. Let them preen, Singh said, taking her station. Pride comes before the fall. As the Intrepid departed New Geneva Station, none of the watching aliens noticed the subtle distortions in space around the ship's hull, the barely detectable energy signatures that hinted at systems far beyond humanity's supposed technological level. They saw only what they expected to see, an obsolete warship crewed by primitive beings who had no business among the stars. They would learn their mistake soon enough. Hidden strength. The distress call reached the Intrepid 3 weeks into their Arcturus patrol. Lieutenant Samira Hassan's fingers flew across her communications console as she isolated the signal. Captain, emergency broadcast from the mining colony on Arcturus 4. They're under attack. Drake leaned forward in his command chair, his expression hardening. Source? Krylonian signatures, sir, Lieutenant O'Connor reported from Tactical. 3 Raptor-class destroyers. They're hitting the colony's orbital platforms. Commander Singh's dark eyes met Drake's. They both knew this was no coincidence. The Krylonians are testing us, Singh said quietly. Seeing if we'll intervene against their own ships. Then let's not disappoint them, Drake replied, his voice steel. Sound battle stations. Chief Yamamoto, how are our special modifications holding up? The engineer's voice crackled over the comm, ready to give those arrogant lizards a surprise they won't forget, Captain. Just say the word. All hands, battle stations, Singh's voice echoed through the ship. The Intrepid's corridors filled with the controlled chaos of a crew preparing for combat. In the armory, Master Sergeant Julia Rodriguez checked her powered armor one final time, knowing her Marines might be needed for close-quarters combat. The Intrepid dropped out of FTL on the edge of the Arcturus 4 system. The tactical display showed 3 Krylonian destroyers systematically destroying the colony's defensive platforms. Debris from shattered satellites and defense stations littered orbital space. Open a channel, Drake ordered. All frequencies. Channel open, sir, Hassan reported. Krylonian vessels, this is Captain Marcus Drake of the ISS Intrepid. You are engaged in an unauthorized attack on a sovereign human colony. Stand down immediately or face the consequences. The response was immediate. Supreme Commander Nixus's face filled the main screen, his scales flushed with contemptuous amusement. Ah, the primitive returns. These criminals were harboring fugitives from Krylonian justice. We are well within our rights to cleanse this infection. Those criminals requested political asylum, Drake countered. They're under human protection now. Stand down, or I will be forced to open fire. Nixus's laugh was like breaking glass. You truly are delusional, human. 1 obsolete vessel against 3 of our destroyers. Perhaps we should end this farce and demonstrate proper imperial justice. The transmission cut off. The Krylonian ships turned as one, their weapon ports glowing with charged energy. They're powering up main batteries, O'Connor reported. Multiple target locks. Drake's fingers tightened on his armrests. Helm, execute pattern Delta. Chief, bring our special friends online. Let's show them what primitive technology can do. The Intrepid's response took the Krylonians completely by surprise. Instead of the lumbering evasive maneuvers they expected, the human ship moved with impossible grace. Panels along its hull slid aside, revealing sophisticated weapon systems that shouldn't have existed on a vessel of its class. Multiple hits on the lead destroyer, O'Connor called out. Their shields are destabilizing. Wait, something's wrong with their systems. Their power grid is fluctuating. Chief Yamamoto's satisfied voice filled the bridge. That'll be our quantum disruption field, sir. Turns out their fancy crystalline tech doesn't play well with targeted probability manipulation. Who knew? The lead destroyer's weapons flickered and died, its engine sputtering as cascade failures ripped through its systems. The other 2 ships pressed their attack, but the Intrepid was already moving. Quantum-edged torpedoes phased through conventional shields, striking with surgical precision. Direct hit on their primary power core, Singh reported. second destroyer is going dark. The third is attempting to retreat. Not today, Drake growled. Lieutenant Hassan, send to the third destroyer, surrender and prepare to be boarded, or share your companion's fate. The remaining Krylonian ship powered down its weapons. On the main screen, a shaken Krylonian commander appeared. This is impossible. Your vessel, your weapons, are precisely what we wanted you to believe they were, Drake finished. Sergeant Rodriguez, prepare your Marines for boarding action. Secure that ship and any evidence of what they were really doing in this system. As his crew carried out their orders, Drake gazed at the disabled Krylonian vessels. The Intrepid's true capabilities would be secret no longer, but perhaps that was for the best. The Krylonian Empire needed to understand that humanity's apparent technological inferiority was a carefully crafted illusion. Hours later, Rodriguez's voice crackled over the comm, "Captain, you need to see this. We found something in their data cores. This wasn't just about refugee hunting. They were testing our defenses, gathering tactical data. Sir, I think they're planning an invasion." The Dark Protocol. In the Intrepid's secure briefing room, Sergeant Rodriguez's holographic presentation cast an eerie glow over the assembled command staff. "We're calling it the Dark Protocol," she explained, gesturing to the decrypted Krylonian battle plans. "It's not just an invasion, it's an attempted genocide." Chief Yamamoto leaned forward, his weathered face illuminated by the shifting displays. "These energy signatures, they're building something massive in the Helios Nebula. Something that could rewrite the laws of physics on a stellar scale." "A weapon?" Commander Singh asked, though they all knew the answer. "Worse," Hassan interjected, her fingers dancing across her datapad. "According to these specifications, it's designed to target specific genetic markers. They're building a device that could eliminate humanity while leaving other species unaffected." Drake's expression remained stoic, but his knuckles whitened as he gripped the edge of the conference table. "How long?" 2 weeks, maybe 3 before it's operational, Rodriguez answered. "The Krylonians have been planning this for years, gathering data on human biology, testing our defenses. The refugee situation was just a cover." "We need to warn the Council," Singh suggested, but Drake shook his head. "The Krylonians have too many allies there. Too many species who see us as primitive upstarts who need to be put in our place. By the time we convince them of the threat, it would be too late." O'Connor cleared his throat. "Sir, the Intrepid might be advanced, but we're still just one ship. How can we possibly stop this?" A tight smile crossed Drake's face. "Who said we're alone?" "Lieutenant Hassan, send the Phoenix Protocol signal. It's time to show our hand." Hassan's eyes widened. "Sir, that would reveal everything," Drake finished. "But better that than extinction." He turned to his crew. "What you're about to see never made it into any official report." The briefing room's main display flickered to life, showing a star map of supposedly empty sectors. One by one, signatures began appearing, dozens of them, then hundreds. Ships, stations, and installations that officially didn't exist. "While the Krylonians were studying us," Drake explained, "we were studying them. Every time they dismissed us as primitive, we used that assumption to hide our advances. The Intrepid isn't unique, she's just the most visible part of humanity's true fleet." Yamamoto grinned. "Those outdated cargo ships running supplies to the outer colonies? Full of quantum weaponry. The primitive mining installations? Actually producing dark matter focusing arrays. And now," Singh added, "we can bring it all together. But we'll need a distraction, something to keep the Krylonian fleet occupied while we strike at their weapon." Rodriguez stepped forward, her combat armor gleaming under the holographic lights. "My team found something else in their data core. The facility in the Helios Nebula? It has a weakness. Their quantum shielding creates a harmonic resonance that could be exploited, if someone could get close enough to plant charges at these exact points. She highlighted several locations on the facility's schematic. A suicide mission, O'Connor muttered. Not necessarily, Yamamoto countered. The quantum disruption field that disabled their destroyers, we could modify it, create a localized bubble that would let a small team slip through their defenses. They'd never see it coming. Drake nodded slowly, the pieces of a plan coming together. Rodriguez, select your best infiltration team. Hassan, coordinate with the hidden fleet, I want them ready to move the moment we strike. Yamamoto, you have 48 hours to modify that disruption field. What about the Krylonian patrol fleets? Singh asked. The moment we move on the facility, they'll respond in force. That's where we come in, Drake replied. The Intrepid is going to do what everyone expects, make a foolhardy, primitive attempt to challenge their authority. While we keep them focused on us, Rodriguez's team infiltrates the facility. The briefing room erupted in activity as the crew began preparations. In the midst of it, Hassan received an encrypted transmission. Her face paled as she decoded it. Captain, she called out, her voice tight. Message from our deep cover operative in the Krylonian High Command. They're accelerating their timeline. The weapon will be ready in less than a week. Drake's expression hardened. Then we move now. All hands to battle stations. Commander Singh, begin fleet coordination. It's time to remind the galaxy why you should never underestimate humanity. As the crew dispersed to their posts, Drake remained in the briefing room for a moment, studying the holographic display of the Krylonian weapon. Everything hinged on perfect timing and the element of surprise. If they failed, humanity would face extinction. If they succeeded, the balance of power in the galaxy would shift forever. Either way, the next few hours would change everything. Breaking point. The Helios Nebula blazed with artificial light as the Intrepid emerged from FTL. Massive Krylonian warships patrolled the swirling gases, their crystalline hulls refracting the nebula's glow. At the heart of their formation loomed their doomsday weapon, a construct of impossible geometries that seemed to twist the fabric of space around it. Stealth systems holding, O'Connor reported from Tactical. They haven't detected Rodriguez's shuttle yet. Drake watched the tactical display as a tiny signature, barely distinguishable from background radiation, slipped between the Krylonian patrol routes. Inside that shuttle, Rodriguez and her team would be checking their equipment one final time, preparing to infiltrate the facility that threatened humanity's existence. Time to make some noise, Drake said. Lieutenant Hassan, open a channel to the Krylonian flagship. Let's give them something to focus on. Supreme Commander Nixus's face appeared on the main screen, his scales darkened with rage. The primitive returns, seeking death. Your interference in our divine mandate ends today. Divine mandate? Drake's laugh was cold. Is that what you call genocide these days? We know about the weapon, Nixus. We know what you're planning. Then you understand the futility of resistance, Nixus hissed. Your species is an aberration, a mistake in the cosmic order. We will correct that mistake. You're welcome to try. Drake nodded to Hassan, who cut the transmission. Battle stations. Chief Yamamoto, initiate the quantum cascade. The Intrepid's primitive hull began to shimmer as hidden systems activated. Quantum fields rippled through space, disrupting the neat formations of the Krylonian fleet. Ships began to drift, their crystalline technology struggling against humanity's counterattack. Multiple targets acquiring lock, O'Connor called out. They're adapting to the quantum disruption faster than expected. Evasive pattern Delta 3, Drake ordered. Commander Singh, status of our reinforcements? Singh's fingers danced across her console. Hidden fleet elements responding. ETA 3 minutes to primary engagement zones. The space around the Intrepid erupted in energy fire as the Krylonian ships opened up with everything they had. The human vessel danced through the barrage, its movements defying the laws of physics as quantum drives engaged fully. Direct hit on their lead destroyer, O'Connor reported with satisfaction. Their shields are, wait, something's wrong. Energy readings are off the scale. The damaged Krylonian ship began to pulse with an unnatural light. Its crystalline hull fractured, releasing waves of destructive energy that threatened to tear reality apart. They've weaponized their own ships, Yamamoto's voice was tight with concern. The quantum disruption is causing their power cores to collapse into artificial singularities. All ships, maintain distance from damaged targets, Drake ordered across the fleet channel. Focus fire on intact vessels only. We just need to keep them busy for a few more minutes. Inside the weapon facility, Rodriguez and her team moved silently through crystalline corridors. Their quantum-shifted armor rendered them nearly invisible to Krylonian sensors. They reached the first targeting node, planting charges that would disrupt the weapon's field harmonics. 2 more nodes, Rodriguez whispered over the secure channel. But they know something's wrong. Security patrols are increasing. Back on the Intrepid's bridge, the situation was deteriorating. More Krylonian ships were arriving, their weapons specifically calibrated to pierce human quantum defenses. The hidden fleet was taking heavy losses as they tried to maintain the containment pattern around the facility. Shields at 30%, O'Connor reported as another blast rocked the ship. We can't take much more of this. We hold, Drake's voice was iron. Whatever it takes, we hold. Rodriguez needs more time. Suddenly, Hassan's console lit up with urgent signals. Captain, the weapon facility, it's powering up. They're initiating the firing sequence early. Drake's blood ran cold. On the main screen, the massive construct began to pulse with devastating energy. If it fired, billions would die instantly, and humanity would follow soon after. Rodriguez, status. Drake demanded. Final node reached, her voice was strained. Charges set, but there's a problem. The detonation sequence has to be triggered manually from inside the core. The quantum interference is too strong for remote activation. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Everyone knew what that meant, whoever triggered the charges wouldn't be coming back. I'll do it, Rodriguez said quietly. Just keep them busy for 2 more minutes. It's been an honor, Captain. Drake gripped his chair as the Intrepid shuddered under another barrage. Around them, space itself seemed to be tearing apart as Krylonian ships continued to detonate, their destruction adding to the chaos. All ships, push forward. Drake ordered. Everything you've got, throw it at them now. We finish this today. The battle reached its breaking point as human and Krylonian ships clashed in a desperate final gambit. The fate of an entire species hung by a thread, waiting for one soldier's sacrifice to make the difference between survival and extinction.